If you're sick of playing up against tier 10s in World of Tanks, then why not take your tier 9 and pretend like you're a tier 10? Of course, that's exactly what this player did, and how he came out with a result even the tier 10s in the game would have loved to have received. This replay is absolutely outstanding, so stay tuned because it's going to get messy. How's it going, guys? It's Epsilon here, and today's video we are going to be seeing how this tier 9 is absolutely outrageous within the game. It is, of course, the Skoda T50, the tier 9 Czechoslovakian auto-loading medium tank that, for all intents and purposes, plays very much like a tier 10. I mean, if you were to have slightly better stats in a few areas, this genuinely could be a tier 10. And when you really factor this against the tier 10 that is in the tech tree, because this is a tier 9 tech tree vehicle, you could presumably make an argument that the only real difference is maybe slight mobility changes and of course getting an extra shell in the magazine, whereas, you know, it still has good DPM, it still has good mobility, and it has everything that you could really need as a tier 9 to come away with results like you're about to witness. And this is certainly a bit of a carrier of World of Tanks in this vehicle. So it's nice to see straight off the bat not just firing premium rounds within World of Tanks, so it's always lovely to see that within the replay. We have Call Me Marty here. He's going to have an outstanding replay, and hopefully you guys stick around because it really does spicy up as we move through, and it really is one of those replays that you feel like you would absolutely love to have because it's riveting all the way through. There's constant decision making that needs to be done, and when you have an autoloader that is limited by, you know, you have to reposition, or maybe you fire one shell like you're seeing here. He's only fired one shell, waiting for the opponent to return, and of course shutting him down, knowing full well that if the ISM is to poke, he can shut him down with just 2 shells, whereas if you had decision where maybe, you know, you might come up against multiple tanks, is it worth reloading? Are you going to be reloaded by the time you come into contact again? Will it make a difference if you're reloaded or not? You know, it's all of these things. What's the risk slash reward? Now, one of the key rewards of course playing this vehicle is that if you do catch a vehicle, you can pump them full of shells super quick, and one benefit of that is that if you fire at someone's ammo rack and they do not get the time to repair it, their turret is coming off quite nicely. And you saw that against the E50M there. Of course, maybe one of the shells hit the ammo rack, then the second shell quickly after managed to hit the ammo rack and actually detonate it. You never know, or maybe it was just a one-shot ammo rack blown off. But, you know, it's always nice to get additional RNG within the game, even if that is probably not a thing, given the fact that it's not a Soviet tank. But either way, 3,700 damage has been done so far, but don't worry, this is genuinely just the start of the mayhem that's about to come. So what you're seeing here, some nice plays up against the side of the E75. E75 having some weird replay bug. I have no idea why it does that, the outline kind of messing up there, but either way, the key thing about the Skoda and how you can really utilize it yourself if you do want to pick up a tank like this, I highly recommend everyone does. It's I would say a more high skill cap vehicle. You have a lot of things that are good with the tank, but some things that are just super annoying as well. So it's not a perfect tank by all means. It's not very forgiving if you do get taken out, or someone can get a shell on you, and of course you do not have any turret armor or anything like that, so you really do have to play it like a glass kind of cannon, but without the cannon and more of a glass machine gun. So yeah, really nice tank either way. But at this point in the game, our player here is taking the usual initiative on a map like Fisherman's Bay. And that is, the mid-ridge seems to have been, you know, primarily won. There is a Char Futur, but the problem with taking the mid-ridge is that if you lose the town area, which you're starting to see now, the team are crumbling in the town, and you've got no one that is also over on this flank over here, you can end up in a sausage sandwich. And like I always say in World of Tanks, a sausage sandwich is only fun when you're on the giving end, not the receiving. Since you have to take multiple sausages at once, it's just not ideal. Now, luckily that's not the case in today's replay, because our player here notices that that is the case. You know, you saw him repositioning, obviously thinking, you know what, maybe I should utilise the fact that there is an opportunity for me to get damage on one flank and maybe help them out as they're advancing. Of course, getting one clip off, which is nice, and then kind of repositioning into this location where if there is anyone coming from behind, he can't get hit from the right since the building is over here, whilst also allowing him to be flexible enough to reposition to come up against people like maybe the Futur. Now he takes 2 shells there, which is kind of unfortunate. One from the Futur, one from the Object 283 on the enemy team, and then one again from the Futur, totaling 3. And this is really not looking good. Only 500 hit points left. The majority of the enemy team are on a decent, substantial amount of hit points. And you'd probably be thinking at this point, you know, 6.7 thousand damage. I'm fairly happy with how it's gone. Maybe could have got more damage, but the team seemed to be sucking. Now, luckily, our player here does not suck. And that's really where he's going to start pulling out all of the stops to come away with hopefully a win. Now, this is a dream within the Skoda T50, and that is if you can get up close and personal with a non-turreted TD or something that is kind of reliant on the fact that it has to be mobile or hasn't got a turret or anything like that, and you know you have to get round the side of it, and you do get round the side of it, you can easily deal with the damage that you're seeing here. And when you have 960 alpha damage and the potential to Amarak things like we've seen there, 2 Amaraks within this game, I mean, unbelievable in its own right, but having picked up 8,300 damage, a nice one to add in as well, and it's allowing him to carry. Now the game is looking absolutely awful here, with the enemy team having over 7,000 hit points, the friendly team having a decent chunk as well, but not quite the amount that you would hope for, but 8,800 damage done. And it's at this point in the battle where you have to start thinking, right, what is my best opportunity to win the game? If you are interested in winning the game. Obviously, some players are only out to do damage and would literally make their team lose if it meant that they could do more damage, which of course, to me, just, it doesn't seem that fun unless, of course, you're going for marks of excellence, I guess. But you're seeing there helping out with the flank who on the enemy team have pushed towards the CC. Bad idea. Once you win the town area, usually what you want to do is then return back into the centre, and then you get shells onto people in this area from whoever it is that might be spotting for your team, and that way you get a good crossfire going. A lot of teams, if they do not understand, will try and push fully on the flank, and then they end up just coming into this sort of scenario where you're having to push into a CC that's probably hold down, a CDA that's waiting there to get free shots of you, and obviously the Skoda who's sat in the middle also getting a crossfire, so you end up taking a really solid advantage and then throwing it away against all of the opponents that on the enemy team would be an easy target if you just decided to move at this stage in the game. One good thing is that the CC's on a decent amount of hit points, and he of course is proactive and actually moving forward. Does miss his shell, but don't worry, the Skoda's come in with his super balanced intricate reload to finish him off. So fantastic game here, and Marty has just been blowing this game out of the water and managed to actually turn the tide of the game from, you know, thinking we're going to end up losing and only having 6,000 damage to, oh my god, we're going to actually win, and we've done over 10,000 damage, which is crazy in its own right. And you can see here the Object 283 on the enemy team chasing down the friendly artillery, and hopefully the artillery gets out of the game, but at least allows our player to be able to get some extra damage on him. So with the 283 spotted and the artillery actually doing a useful job for once in actually spotting for the team, you're seeing here now our player get into a lovely position. Now the Borsig does indeed actually spot him, and if he has the 15 centimeter, it's going to be game over. Remember, there is also a Barask, I believe, fannying around somewhere in the game. Oh no, it's a 283. Sorry, I don't know why. I guess the picture up here somewhat looks like it. My bad, I'm an absolute bot. Obviously, why it's not my replay and it's actually someone else's. So in this sort of case, you have the 283, which to all intents and purposes is not particularly the most overpowered tier 9 vehicle in the game, so you don't really have a whole lot of problems with that. But he also can't one-shot you, but for every one-shot that you might take, you can also deal 3 back. Unfortunately, only 2 went into the opposite team, so not to worry there. You've really got to rely now upon your teammates to help you out, because on your own, it's going to be very difficult to now push the 283. He's going to be reloaded, you're not quite reloaded, and if he outspots you, which is perfectly possible, even though the Skoda T50 has very good view range for a tier 9 medium tank, and you can certainly use it, it's not 100% to be able to spot. And especially if the opposing team decide that they're going to just sit in a bush, wait for the Skoda to move up and get into their render range or view range, and then just farm them up. And especially with the enemy artillery piece on the game, you know, it could go either way. Now luckily the GW Tiger P is out in the near the church area, which is typically where artillery will be, and he shuts him down, meaning that the RNG is out of the game, and it's just now down to 1 vehicle on the enemy team, the Object 283. Now at this point you're probably thinking the 283 this should just be rushed by the CDA, the CC and the Skoda at the same time to be able to shut him down, and that way you really don't have to leave anything to chance, and hopefully that will be the case as they move forward. And we're going to see that as this game develops at this point. Hopefully it's possible to get a final amount of damage on the 283. Maybe it could be even taken to 12k, but unfortunately it is no longer possible, and with only 250 damage left in the game, there is just 1 vehicle close enough to deal the damage to the 283, which is the CDA, CC and the Skoda moving in, and it appears like it may be the CC's final damaging hit within the game, unless the Skoda can come out of nowhere. Can he do it? Unfortunately not, and the CDA does indeed shut him down. But what a replay that was. Hopefully that showcased how even tier 9 vehicles can still perform as tier 10s, especially in their own right if they're top tier. Remember, Skoda T50, very much a tank that can be played by high skill cap players and players that are familiar with the understandings of autoloaders and how to kind of trade with autoloaders to come away with a win. And of course it was a fantastic replay to watch by Call Me Marty, and yeah, what an insane game. Thank you very much for uploading it, and hopefully you guys did enjoy. Don't forget to check out some of the other content we have on the channel. They'll be on screen right now. And if you did enjoy this one, make sure to subscribe to see the next videos that will be coming out soon, showcasing the best and the guides for World of Tanks. Hopefully you do enjoy, and I'll see you there. Goodbye.